television. Language is more than a means of communication. It is identity, heritage, and power. As globalization expands and younger generations increasingly adopt foreign languages and cultures, many indigenous languages face the risk of gradual extinction. Today on The Conversation, we're focusing on protecting indigenous languages, the Yoruba example. So we're focusing on the Yoruba language. What does it really mean to preserve a language? And beyond the cultural pride, what are the economic, political, and developmental implications of losing our indigenous language? To help us unpack this important conversation, I really like his outfit. We are joined by Aare Oladotun Hassan. He is a lawyer and president, Yoruba Council Worldwide. You're welcome to the conversation.
It's a pleasure to be on your program. Good morning. Good morning, viewers at home.
Good morning. All right. When we talk about protecting indigenous languages, what does protection mean beyond just speaking it at home?
Well, language, as you have rightly defined, is a means of communication, is a means of identity. In Yoruba definition of a country, we call it Orile-Ede, meaning that is your abode of your language. So meaning language has a whole lot to do with our existence. And creation of language has been from time immemorial by God Almighty. And every country, every race has their own preserved language, and Yoruba is not an exception. And that is why every 21st of February, United Nations preserve it as the World Indigenous Language Day. And we're able to celebrate the last one on Saturday by the Oladotun Festival Foundation, led by Iba Gani Adams, the Aare for the 15th one. And it was a conversation for revival and revamping of the Yoruba language and our culture, particularly the Omoluabi ethos, and that is a Siamese with a language, because Yoruba doesn't just speak language. From our language, it depicts our character, it depicts our notion. So, and that is one key factor that the present era we are now is fast depleting and is going into erosion. And the earlier, all hands are on deck, from the family background to community to schools to government to everyone, because we must appreciate Lagos State government and the Lagos State House of Assembly. They've taken the Yoruba language as a core compulsory subject, even for your admission in any institution in Lagos State, and they equally reserve a day for speaking of Yoruba language at the Lagos State House of Assembly. This is a pace setter. And in order not to allow it just remain a Lagos affair, where the last program we had that widest conversation to ensure that all kings must key into this. All governors across Yoruba land must key into this. And this is also one critical issue that we are here to equally appreciate your management to giving us opportunity to discuss.
Okay, let me take you on the Omoluabi part that you mentioned, because I know that, so I'm Igbo, and in my place we don't kneel down to greet, but that doesn't mean that we don't have respect. But I grew up here in Lagos, a Yoruba land, and I greet, I kneel. I don't kneel on the floor, but I'll bend, to greet. And these are the things that you don't see anymore. It's rare where I see a young man who is greeting and then prostrates. Those are the things we do not see anymore, and those things are gradually going into extinction. And then I also want you to really speak on the values that the Yoruba culture has.
Well, as the President Yoruba Council Worldwide, one of our cardinal vision is to project the Omoluabi identity, and that is why we are working with critical stakeholders across board, particularly with His Imperial Majesty Ooni Adeyeye Babatunde Nitonguwusi, the Ojaja II CFR, who in his wisdom also approved every 1st of May of every year as the World Omoluabi Day. And we equally go beyond that to establish the Omoluabi School Club, to prepare for the Omoluabi Festival, for the Omoluabi Games, for Omoluabi Education Summit. So we have a whole lot of programs ahead in which we're working with critical stakeholders, especially with the Lagos State government under the able leadership of Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, whom we equally reserve as a Omoluabi par excellence, because from his demeanor, you always see carrying that respect. And not only him, several, you see the governor of is it Cross River State, one of these South governor, also prostrated to greet the king. And even we have seen a whole lot displayed, you know, greeting. And it goes a long way that prostrating and kneeling down is not an act of punishment. It's an act that we have seen from time immemorial that preserve who we are. A woman will surely greet not just the king, any elderly person in the society, even from the home. The wife starts to kneel down for the husband. That is our culture, no matter the age of the husband or to the wife. The children, a female must kneel down, a male must prostrate. These are our identity of Omoluabi. Hard work is another key factor. Wisdom, the way you speak, the way you communicate. There's none of all these things that is already going into oblivion. And that's one critical factor, just as you rightly said, that we need to do more. Not just teaching of the language, but having mentors that will begin to project this. And we want to implore, especially our royal fathers, they have a lot of roles to play. From the community leaders, the ballet, the harbors, they have more quality role to play to preserve this culture in our society. You even see some people really want to prostrate to a king. Someone will be more reserved to even stretch a hand. Even amongst us, but there is still even hierarchy of respect. So even amongst us in Yoruba land, these are factors, and those are the real benefit of what the last Saturday conversation. It was a very robust one. A communique was issued in order to ensure that government from the federal is given a role to play. We've equally have as part of that language teaching must be compulsory at home, Yoruba, because if you don't understand Yoruba or your native language, you cannot interpret English. English is also a culture of the Western people. It doesn't mean that their culture is archaic. They have their own culture. But to us, in Yoruba land, those things that introduce us, that defines us, are what we interpret as Omoluabi. And we cannot sit back and watch it die. And that's why Yoruba Council Worldwide, we are imploring President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is equally trying in the education sector, but we want you to make it a compulsory teaching. And Omoluabi, today, as we speak, is now a global language. Everybody can be identified as an Omoluabi. Even as an Igbo person, you can bring yourself, just like when you say you are in Christian world, you say you are now born again, or you are after God's own eyes. So that is the way a God-created child, that's what, they are inborn of God's own identity. That is what we call Moti Oluwabi, meaning God's own child. So far you can refer yourself to that pedestal of scrutiny, of perseverance, of self-discipline, of hard-working spirit. So these are more inherent, and that's one view that we are able to adopt, and we recommend that the federal government should establish the Federal Ministry of Chieftaincy and Traditional Affairs in order to preserve our culture, not just the language, because once the culture dies, the language dies. In the south, there are languages that are dying. North central, a lot of languages are going. Even in Yoruba land, not every intonation and the ethnic view, language of every dominant culture in Yoruba. We have the Jebu, we have the Laje, we have various, even Lagos manner of Yoruba is different from Oyo manner. But these are what really defines us. But really, our present Gen Z age are not carried along on this, and we want the government, we want the people, we want everyone to see this as a clear call of duty.
Yeah, let me write on the last point you made now, talking about the Gen Z age. What are the factors that you think is posing a threat to the Yoruba language and culture? Is it modernization, or What are some of those factors?
Well, there are a lot of critical factors bedeviling our culture, and one of it is corruption. Yes. 2 is the moral decadence in the society. 3 is the way we interpret religious animosity, religious differences. We no longer see God as the opium of our worshiping God today. We see humanity, we see the pastor, we see the imam as a mini God. And whatever the pastor or that imam or that person you are seeing represent, that is a replica of what you are seeing. So people no longer value the kind of dress they just wear to church. You see them wearing harmless, putting on manner of dressing, expository dresses. It doesn't mean that is our culture, but it's an effect of a decadent music and what we are seeing on the TV every day. You kind of see music that is churned out these days are music that prone to say, okay, quick getting money without even you working. You see musicians just so money rain, like money don't rain from the sky. You must work, you must steal the grain. Even God say, it's out of your sweat you shall eat. So God knows the importance of Omoluabi. God knows what it means. But one of these issues are the fact that if corruption is minus, meaning moral corruption, financial corruption, because if you are you have a good moral etiquette, you dissuade from being of corrupting yourself. If you don't have good moral etiquette, you will not be involved in promiscuous atrocities or promiscuous characters. So these issues are there. You see a lot of things that promote all these things. Now they just talk about hookup as if it's a normal thing. You talk about Azar as if it's normal thing for you to just get money. People, the language of communication now has finally reduced our disciplined mind. So the more we resuscitate all these together, and the media must do more. In those days we used to have programs like Speak Out, Storyline, and some of these programs that you must go and watch. Even on Sunday you watch Feikobo to learn character building. So, but today, our TV has been saturated with content that just kill the mind. And these are critical factors that the government must be able to place more watch on the kind of movies, on the social, and there must be restriction. People may say this, that it's an infringement of their right. In Australia, there was a restriction on social media, on usage, on the way accessibility. Now your children have more access to pornography on the social, and even pornography is now everywhere. So there is no restriction in society. And if the society keeps on growing at this manner, it's going to become a snowball crisis for all of us. Not just for the Yoruba that I'm part of, but it's a issue that everybody must keep their heritage rightly. Even in the Igbo land, as they should learn to borrow some other cross culture instead of us borrowing culture from the West. Let the Igbo borrow the Omoluabi ethos from the Yoruba people. Let all of we too will also borrow from you your unity and community value. In Igbo land, you have this community value of bringing of Ajumobi. That's what we call in Yoruba land. But we in this part we also must also learn. That is one of the things that bond the union, that keeps peace to be alive, that makes development, because without peace there cannot be economic development. Everything are intertwined. And these are real issues that the conversation cannot just end here. We must effectively see way that people should brand themselves as brand ambassadors. People should pronounce themselves as, oh, from henceforth this is, I want people to see me, from the way we dress, from the way we greet. Children no longer prostrate. Even some parents don't even encourage their children to, they see it as archaic. And that is the problem. You go to church, or sorry to say, it's more of preaching of prosperity rather than character building, more motivational rather than attitudinal change. So there is always a confusion, there is always conflict. But from what we must hold on to is that family line. The family, the father must show good example. A father that smokes Indian hemp must be ready to nurture a child that runs a drug factory. So a mother that does not keep respect at home for the father or for self-respect, will continue to breed a wayward child. So everyone must imitate each other positively.
Okay, now the topic is still protecting indigenous language, the Yoruba example. Let's now, you have highlighted so many issues that is hampering or that is causing the language to go into extinction. Now, how do we begin to make a change? Let's take it now from the home front. You've touched on the home front a bit. Let's take it from the home front and let's also take it down to our education sector.
Well, it's a, I introduced to you that we are working a whole day to make sure that we don't just stop on talking, we want to walk the talk. And that's one of the critical factors that led us to, that we put up a lot of multiple programs ahead that will ensure that all these are properly disseminated rightly. We have currently will be in the coming days we'll be having the Omoluabi Education Summit. The Education Summit is to bring on the front line, where do we have it wrong? Is it the kind of subject we are used to have moral instruction? Do we need to put in Omoluabi as one of the topics that must be taught in the moral instruction as a subject? Or we even have Omoluabi as a subject that we teach patriotism, character, good neighborliness. All these things are what the Americans teach their own children before. This is what the Chinese teach their own growing up child. They show them, they expose them to positive mind building education, and these are real opinion that we intend to equally achieve. Just as I already said, we are equally working on the Obas conference, Yoruba Obas conference, which we believe will come alive to bring in all the Obas together. These are critical institutions that we are not utilizing rightly in our society. We give kudos to the Oni of Ife, the way he's been bringing the Southern Obas together, National Council of Traditional Rulers, the Southwest Obas, but we still believe beyond the meeting point, the conversation on this real issue of our homegrown character of Omoluabi must come as a front burner on how the Oloris must manage the palace, on how they must also transmit this to their various immediate communities, and they must be deterrent. In Yoruba land, they say spank the child and the devil will flee, meaning it might not be in another culture of the Western world, but these are one of the, even in Yoruba land, from the eye contact of a mother to a child, that place you are going, you dare not do it. Even from gesture, they can even smile at you. You know that smile represents a different thing at that particular point in time. Children no longer understand this aroko any longer. So, but we want all this to form part of our conversation. Just as I rightly said, by 1st of May, in Ile-Ife, we'll be celebrating the 28th edition of the World Omoluabi Festival to equally ensure that our culture is not dying. Okay. Because we cannot keep it at the family line alone. All these are what, if we don't teach it from the education, from the school, it will not be so easy to equally transmit to the society. But we are using this medium to equally alert parents to cross-check their children's phone. Many children are now cultists in disguise under their parent nose. If you go on social media, you see children just dancing to cult songs, and some of the musicians equally promote gestures of some cult groups, renowned names. These are people look up to as role models. So if the role models in the music industry are always flying different colors of cultists or cultism character, it kills our society. These are real issues government must pay attention to. So if the government do not regulate and they just allow everybody to run an anarchic system, we would always find we cannot, the way we lay our bed, that's the way we lie on it. But I just believe and I pray that it doesn't become an albatross for our own generation to nurse.
Okay, yes, I really like the way the conversation has gone. It has gone way beyond just speaking the language. You have addressed a lot of issues, but let's come back to speaking the language. How important is it for parents to teach their children how to speak their indigenous language, especially for those in the diaspora, I see some content on social media, Yoruba parents who take it upon themselves to teach their children how to speak. And then you see like 2-year-old, 3-year-olds speaking Yoruba. It sounds very funny, but that's a beautiful thing to behold. And for us here in the country, how important is it? Because you find a lot of young people, they can't speak their language.
It's not just young people. The adults themselves no longer know how to read our language. Reading
as reading in
Yoruba is even a difficult task for every, let me even say, in fact, without much ado, almost 80% of our existence, of our people cannot even read Yoruba. You go to churches today, you don't see interpreter any longer. You go to some places today, everybody just want to speak English. So, but be that as it may, there is still a sigh of relief. There is still hope for us, because Yoruba language is a global language. We have Yoruba in Brazil, we have Yoruba in Cuba, in Trinidad and Tobago. These are coming in Ghana, in Benin Republic there. So Yoruba already cannot die. But the real value of what interpreters, because now we are now having mixed breed of Yoruba, Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, Yoruba this. Sorry to say, but it has really diffused the originality of our being, and the way we can really go about it. Just as I rightly said, we must have state orientation agency, meaning not just national orientation agency now. At the level of the state, let the language be at the front burner. Teaching and communicating, even announcements should be done in languages, because somehow, if you don't teach this language to really to understandable level, speaking it is good. We implore parents, even if it is A, B, D, A, F, E, B, E, G, B, Kilimi, O, P, C, T, U, E. Nobody can say that any longer. People do. This is what we use in learning English. If you cannot pronounce that intonation rightly, your Queen's English will not even sound well. So because these are learning field, it's good we bring to the fore. Maybe special we'll be looking up to the government, even your studio, if a program can equally be given a time space, maybe with private sponsor coming on board. We discussed it at the last summit that we should have even 1 hour program that centers on Yoruba cultural teachings and Omoluabi half hour or 1 hour program. Just tag the Omoluabi to teach, to bring in topic, to bring in guests, to teach people how to greet, how to wear cloth, even how to sew some cloth, how to identify different caps. What of to put your cap this way? What of how to really do eye contact? If you don't teach, and these things must equally go to virtual teachings in various schools. Maybe if to form part of what we are putting to the Lagos State government to ensure that the Omoluabi School Club is established in all private and public schools, both primary and secondary, so that children on Wednesday can as well participate. Maybe with the support of the Yoruba teachers and the school management, can ensure that character teaching, we must force to rescue our generation now, because we're already in precipice of danger already. Because today, wearing nakedness, as in being naked in the open night, is no longer thing we value. We used to see it as value, but today parents will even encourage their children to dress in a manner that doesn't even speak well. So even the civilization we copy, we even mismanaged, we misrepresented it, and that is now affecting us. So we need to do more. I've talked about ensuring that more of media voice over advert should be done. We need more billboard that said, okay, Omoluabi ni me, that, oh, I'm a proud Omoluabi. People must see, not just NEC and the other programs that will just promote other products, but let all these products that are projecting themselves to also come to project the Omoluabi ethos, and it's a collective responsibility.
I know you've talked about the entertainment industry,
yes,
especially on kind of contents are they dishing out there. But let's also look at Nollywood. I know we have the Yoruba Nollywood. How well do you think they are also helping to push the Yoruba culture?
Well, it's a two-way thing, because it's two-faced. We have the bad side of it, we have the good side of it. Not all movie, it's always all about gun, robbery, and all that just to entertain. But we want to tell these Nollywood stars, even beyond their ditching out or making money from their intellectual property, they should do more in becoming a global ambassador of good character. It's not until when you especially in the music industry, I'm more particular because music tends to have more spiritual people. When you say, oh, we are Malian, when we say we are this, you see people sagging. These people can as well be Omoluabi ambassadors. There's nothing stopping Davido, all these our big artists to come together, especially the Yoruba ones. I'm imploring them. Our Yoruba Fuji artists, our Yoruba actors and actors should come together. Let them play a role. Let them see it as a community giving back. How do we revive our society? Because they have a lot of role to play. What a musician will teach, and it will go straight to a Gen Z. A school teacher will find 20 years to teach it, and it will still not enter because it will sound archaic. It will not even. If Davido start wearing buba and shokoto today, and Naira Marley equally just put on a agbada and begin to say this is the way we have to dress, I will tell you the whole tailoring outlets will change what they are selling. They will begin. If our female artists do not wear skimpy dress to show their nakedness, and they wear buba and they wear hero, and they went to go and perform at a concert, I will tell you our female young children will go a long way. So the government must bring these people together to letting them know, because government, that's the role of government, ensuring that they mold the society. And that's why I implore the governor of Lagos, is the chairman, Southwest Governors Forum. He has a big role to play in this. And we put a whole lot to the Ministry of Chieftaincy Affairs, to the Ministry of Education, to letting us see how we can fast track this. And we call it the governor to ensure that charity begins at home. Mr. President is trying his own at the federal level, but development starts from the grassroots. They say Latin already. Charity must begin at home, and you cannot give what you don't have. So we must imbibe this culture of excellence, and that's one of the cardinal appreciation to Iba Gani Adams. So I've even see the reason to call stakeholders together. It would have been easy for everybody to just walk up, but he's been doing his own personal effort. And that's why we say, let everybody come and support. If you see somebody promoting the culture, give your voice to encourage such a person with your fund, with your support. And the Yoruba Council as well is doing theirs too. Almost every other group in Yoruba land we are informing. We should not just promote Yoruba nation. No. Let us promote Omoluabi culture. If you promote Omoluabi culture today, you don't need the government to tell you how you are going to behave. Everybody would have known how to behave on traffic, because as the Omoluabi would have told you that, no, you dare not behave in a criminal way, you dare not flout the law. So there is a lot. We've written the Ministry of Education to put in some subject that will teach the law and order, that will teach security, that will teach patriotism. And these are really, because if you do not bring it to the classroom, if you do not sign it as a law in the state, it will be difficult to implement.
Oh, we must leave this conversation here, but the responsibility to preserve our language does not lie with the government alone, but it begins in our homes, schools, and of course our daily choices. We must thank you again, Aare Oladotun Hassan, for sharing insight on this topic, protecting indigenous languages, the Yoruba example. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you, and God bless.
The conversation continues. Stay with us.